Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to historical misconceptions for you to bring up during family barbecue, and I reacted to the channel a few days ago and I really enjoyed it. Kind of reminded me of, I think it's salmonella, especially the thumbnails, but I enjoyed the reaction. I think it was historical facts. Yeah, this one that I reacted to here was the one. And yeah, based off that, I was like, I'm sure I'm gonna like the channel. I'm also gonna subscribe actually, but links are in the description to this channel if you want to check it out, and also to my Patreon if you want to see some reactions that I can't post to YouTube, films, TV series reactions that I can't post to YouTube. Links are there for those interested. But let's check this out and see some of these misconceptions. I can't even say the word. Wait, it's quite loud.
Hey kid, yeah, you over there? You think you know a lot about history? Think again, because like many other people, you are still spreading some common misconceptions. But don't worry, I will take you by the hand and teach you how to become a well-educated scholar. Number 1, medieval scholars believed that the earth is flat.
Wait, so the flat earth theory isn't just a thing from like the current generation trying to sort of find a hobby. There's an actual bit of substance behind it. Again, I don't think it's true at all. Can you hear that? Is that on the mic? God damn it, it is. I'm just trying to adjust my fan so it doesn't go into my mic. So I thought the flat earth stuff was just people trying to sort of have something to be involved in. I didn't realise there was actual people from hundreds of years ago who believed in it.
Let's start with one of humanity's oldest myths and misconceptions that is still around even today. The belief that the earth is flat survived throughout the ages, and most people believe that medieval scholars strongly believed in this. However, this is a common misconception. In fact,
it is I forgot this is misconceptions. I'm so dumb.
Medieval scholars knew and even proved that the earth was round way before the days of modern science. The shape and size of the earth were calculated with astounding precision by Eratosthenes in ancient Greece and were known pretty well, at least by the educated elite, through the Christian age. But if even ancient Greek scholars knew this fact, then where did this myth come from? The idea that medieval scholars thought the earth was flat appears to date from the 17th century as part of the campaign by Protestants against Catholic teaching, gaining much traction in the 1800s due to inaccurate stories and historical recollections. And we can't talk about the flat earth without talking about Columbus. A second claim connected to the flat earth is that Columbus faced opposition to his attempt to find a western route to Asia because people thought the earth was flat and he'd fall off. In reality, Columbus did face opposition on his voyage, but not from people who thought he'd drop off the edge of the world. Instead, people believed he'd predicted too small a globe and would run out of supplies before he made it around to Asia. It was not the edges of the world people feared, but the world being too big and round for them to cross with the technology available. Number 2, Walt Disney invented Mickey Mouse.
Did he not? I don't know. I mean, I would have assumed he did.
Mickey Mouse may be one of the most recognizable cartoon characters in history, and he helped turn Walt Disney into a major force in Hollywood. So it isn't really surprising that most people believe that Walt Disney invented their most famous character, but most origin stories gloss over the fact that Walt Disney didn't create Mickey Mouse. In fact, Mickey was inspired by one of Disney's creations, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, after Disney lost animation rights to Universal. Looking for a new star, Disney turned to animator Ub Iwerks to transform Oswald into a mouse. Iwerks drew Mickey, but Disney took the credit, even winning a 1932 Oscar for creating the character. And here is another interesting fact. The famous mouse was supposed to be named Mortimer originally. The name didn't last. There are a number of tales attempting to explain how and why, the most popular being that Disney's wife hated the name and suggested its replacement, but soon he was ready for his debut as Mickey. Number 3, the forbidden fruit was an apple. Both the apple and Eve get an
I've never heard it not being an apple. So what was it?
undeserved bad rap in the story of paradise. According to the book of Genesis, Adam and Eve were evicted from paradise for eating the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden. There's no mention of any apples. Some biblical scholars think it was a fig, since Adam and Eve dressed in fig leaves, while Muslim scholars think it may have been wheat or possibly grapes. Aquila Ponticus, a 2nd century translator of the Old Testament, may have assumed that the apple tree in the Song of Solomon was the fruit-bearing tree in Genesis. 2 centuries later, St. Jerome also linked the apple tree to the phrase, "There wast thou corrupted," in his Latin translation of the Old Testament. Number 4, Neanderthals were unintelligent. It's a widely held notion that Neanderthals were dim-witted and that their inferior intelligence allowed them to be driven to extinction by the much brighter ancestors of modern humans. However, this couldn't be further from the truth, and there's no evidence to suggest that Neanderthals were dumber than Homo sapiens. They had just as advanced tools and were able to hunt and communicate just as well. Evidence from multiple archaeological sites in Europe suggests that Neanderthals hunted as a group, using the landscape to aid them. Researchers have shown that Neanderthals likely herded hundreds of bison to their death by steering them into a sinkhole in southwestern France. Ornaments have also been collected at Neanderthal sites. Taken together, these findings suggest that Neanderthals had cultural rituals and symbolic communication.
Wouldn't it be so cool if they were still about? I mean, it would just be so fascinating to have different species of humans. Like, that would be so insane to me.
Number 5, ancient Roman gladiators were all slaves. Films like Gladiator and Spartacus popularized the myth that ancient Roman gladiators were slaves, forced to fight to the death for the enjoyment of spoiled aristocrats. But that myth is more Hollywood than history. In fact, many gladiators volunteered to fight, signing up to join gladiator schools for glory and wealth. Some of these gladiators were former soldiers, knights, or even upper-class Romans who wanted to show off their strength.
Damn.
Many trained to wound, not kill, their opponents. And even in the male-dominated Rome for several centuries, women also fought as gladiators. Moreover, the gladiators won massive fame among the lower classes. Their portraits graced the walls of many public places. Children played with gladiator action figures made of clay.
Wow, that's crazy.
And the most successful fighters even endorsed products just like the top athletes of today.
Endorsed product? What products are you going to get in these times? Wait, what? That's crazy.
Number 6, 300 Spartans defeated the Persian army. This legend flourished in the 21st century when a film spread the iconic image of six-pack bearing men in red cloaks fighting a fantastical force.
The thing is, where would they even get these stories from? I guess they just pass down generations, right? But of course stories will get altered the further it gets passed down.
There is just one small problem. This is wrong. There weren't just 300 men, and they weren't all Spartans. So let's get to the truth. Although there were 300 Spartans present at the defense of Thermopylae, there were at least 4,000 allies involved on the first 2 days and 1,500 men involved in the fatal last stand. And even their heroic victory is completely made up. Caught between the main Persian army and 10,000 men to their rear, all were involved in fighting and wiped out. Only Thebans who surrendered remained. Number 7, Napoleon was very short. We move on from the legendary Spartans to another famous...
Isn't there a film with him soon, with Jack and Joaquin Phoenix? I think there is, coming soon, about the revolution and Napoleon and stuff.
...famous military tactician. Napoleon was actually a bit above 5'5" inches or about 160 centimeters.
So he was very small.
Which was pretty average for the time.
Oh, I forgot. It's changed. I mean, I'm like 176, I think. Which is probably about average in the current day. So I guess in these times, it was just, again, he says this was the average. I don't know how they judge that. I guess they just sort of see human remains and sort of they can judge it off that.
The idea that Napoleon was short came mostly from British cartoonist James Gilray, who started illustrating Napoleon as very short, and other cartoonists followed suit. Imagine you create a comic to mock a national enemy, and you do such a good job that even centuries later people still believe you. James Gilray completely roasted Napoleon, and the general even acknowledged this. Napoleon would later say Gilray did more than all the armies of Europe to bring me down. Number 8,
Wow.
Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." For number 8, we stay in medieval France and talk about the only quote on this list. This is one of the most famous historical quotes, so it might surprise some of you that this myth was completely based on hearsay. First off, this would have been uncharacteristic for the Queen, since she was known for her charity work, which included feeding poor and starving people. And in reality, that phrase had already been around and attributed to other sources before Marie, so she can't be responsible for this strange quote. Jacques Rousseau had written a very similar phrase, saying a great princess had said the words years before it was attributed to Marie, when Marie was only 10. Thus, she couldn't possibly have originated the phrase. Number 9, Viking helmets had horns or wings. For our next historic misconception, we will take a little detour in the history of medieval fashion. When you think of a Viking, the image of a horned helmet almost immediately pops up, but that's almost certainly not true. The
Wow.
image of Vikings wearing horned helmets was again borrowed from art from the scenography of an 1876 production of the Der Ring des Nibelungen opera cycle by Richard Wagner. Another myth about Vikings is the memorable event when King Canute, in an alleged fit of delusional arrogance, ordered the tides to retreat. Much more likely is that he was actually trying to make a smart point to his people, showing them that no one can command nature and no man is all-powerful. Imagine you are a Viking leader and try to teach your subjects a wise lesson, but since they are too stupid to understand it, you go down in history as an arrogant madman. Number 10.
But how do you know that? I mean, is that proven?
Cowboys didn't wear cowboy hats.
What? Don't say this to me. Vikings didn't wear horns on the head and cowboys didn't wear cowboy hats.
We continue our journey through historic fashion and arrive in the Wild West. And as ironic as it may sound, cowboys didn't wear cowboy hats, at least most of them didn't. The iconic Stetson came onto the market in 1865 and it wasn't popular until the end of the 19th century. A cowboy's preferred choice of hat, the derby, also known as the bowler. Famous gunslinger and gambler Bat Masterson also favoured the derby. The classic photo of American West gunfighter Billy the Kid depicts the outlaw wearing what resembles a top hat. Men commonly wore hats on the American frontier, and derby hats were functional for various occasions. Most photographs from that time feature men wearing them, and one of the reasons they were popular is because they stayed on in windy conditions. Number 11. Gunfights happened all the time in the American West. We stay in the Wild West and take a closer look at their culture. Hollywood westerns always...
But Hollywood has altered the way the Western history, I guess, has been seen. I think that's just how it is, right? Hollywood has just exaggerated all of it, making everyone believe it's really like that when I guess it really wasn't.
Show multiple gunfights, with gunslingers drawing to shoot in saloons, on Main Street, or anywhere else. But the true history of the American West had a lot fewer gunfights. In fact, very few men even wore the signature low-slung pistol holsters, and the tense standoffs in films rarely happened in real life. And the signature quick-draw duel, a feature in many films that imitates European dueling, apparently only occurred 2 times in the Old West.
What?
Even the word gunslinger was invented for a 1920 Western film. Instead, armed men in the American West were actually called shootists. So in reality, the Wild West was rather boring, and if you are interested in Wild West stories, just play Red Dead Redemption for the
What a game.
10th time. And finally, number 12, AD means after death. You always thought that you were a smart lad because you know what AD means. Well, I have to disappoint you, sir, because AD doesn't actually mean after death. It actually means Anno Domini, which translates to in the year of our Lord in Latin. After hearing all these facts, you properly realize how stupid you were before, but now you are
But that's where we're taught that in school. What?
finally on par with people like Albert Einstein. So go on, use your new knowledge at your next family barbecue and show your whole family what a sophisticated, well-educated gentleman you have become. But
God damn, this is some life-changing information you're helping fill a much-needed niche. I always loved that AD meant after death. We'd need a 30-ish year period called during Christ. Yeah, that's true actually. Like a junkie in an alley trying to get a cheap fix. I find myself here. Wow, shots fired, man. Guys, he's not coming back. It's over. He did though. He done a video. He did come back. They're on about salmonella, aren't they? But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. I found this pretty fascinating and I learned a bit on the way. But yeah, hopefully enjoyed. And until next time.